Greetings, my fellow freedom, low-sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning to LL3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful realms known as Planet Earth. And today's date is Saturday, October 30th, 2021. And today's episode is number 1411. Contract rights are not the same as natural rights. Before I do narrate that article, this is so amazing when you have folks out there, whether they're in labor organizations, corporations, public, private sectors, elected offices, bureaucratic positions, and so forth, trying to tell you how to live, think, and what to do, and was doing it for your own protection and own good. For your own good, to be exact. And what really gets me now is I've been seeing the same scenarios happening everywhere else, and even including when you go to a concert, these big mega corporation promotions now is that you have to have proof of vaccination. Did you ask them this? Do you have your discectomy checked? Do you have a colon cancer examined? How about the gynecology examination? How you doing? Do you have HIV? Are you HIV positive? See, they don't like it when you throw it back at them. So if they want to dish it out, they can't, and they can't take the heat, or other words, receive. Then you give them, you trim like they are criminals, garbage, numbers, demonods, bawds, pawns, Uncle Toms, and your moms, and I say that ethically speaking. The reason why I've been saying this, because I've been looking around, and still people live in fear, and are blatantly ignorant. They don't want to do their own homework, research, and so forth, and they still assume that the vaccines are approved because the pundits say so. But hi, I'm an informed illiterate. Do you find me attractive? Of course, that's how the mindset is. Where their cowboys are running, to go moo or bah, sheeple. They don't want sheepdogs, they want sheeple. They considered the sheepdogs or sentinels, bellboys, pukes, etc. But actually to emulate themselves, her conformist, walking antimatter. I'm not saying I'm better than everyone else here, and I'd be very frank. We all been swindled one way or the other? Absolutely. And I goofed up here. Whoop. Okay. If you hear that vibrator, sorry about that, I'm on my phone right now. But I'm just chilling out in the park. Beautiful windy day, so if you hear some wind in the background, I do apologize. But it's a nice day out, cloudy, has some sunshine now and then. Hopefully everyone out there will have a safe Halloween. Even though some folks, it's a religious holiday, others want to do trick-or-treating, but be safe. There's a lot of whack jobs out there, too, around this time, but like that, the rest of the year, regardless where you live. So on the final note on this, just like to tell you folks out there, always got to remain vigilant, be active, and stay informed. The more you know, the more you exercise your rights, the less you fear. Don't be like those spudheads out there, or these paper union officers, or corporate hacks. Don't do that. They want us to be the bawds of society. Bawd means prostitute, B-A-W-D. Don't be like them. Don't look like them. Act like them. Smell like them. Your own individual, and every single one of you have awesome, beautiful, natural-born rights. But here's one thing we're going to talk about right now. Talk about the title, what I addressed aforementioned, actually came from Mises.org, and always encourage folks to be a member, donate, check out their site, and share it with others. Well, this one here is entitled Contract Rights Are Not the Same as Natural Rights. It's written by David Gordon. It was Purchasing Submission, Conditions, Powers, and Freedom by Philip Hamburger, Harvard University Press, 2021, 320 page. That's page 320. Philip Hamburger has made a revolutionary contribution to American constitutional law. He shows that what is often regarded as a narrow topic, unconstitutional conditions of interest only to specialists, is in fact fundamental to understanding our contemporary system of government, and moreover, that its abuse poses grave dangers to liberty. We should not be surprised that Hamburger, who teaches at Columbia Law School, has made such a revolutionary constitution. At this is not the first time he has done it. In Separation of Church and State, he showed that the First Amendment does not prescribe Jefferson's wall of separation, and yes, answer gave to its administrative law unlawful, blasted away the abuses of the regulatory state, much to the dismay of Adrian Vermeulen, right? Yeah, that's, okay, cool. Vermeulen and other centralizers. Libertarian readers can best grasp what Hamburger does in purchasing submission by thinking about limits of two ideas we often stress. To some libertarians, contracts are basic and voluntary bargains between consenting persons are the sum and substance of social interaction. Murray Rothbard did not view the matter that way, though, and for him, contracts must be made within the structure of a law code based not on contract but on natural law. If you compare his Ethics of Liberty with David Friedman's Machinery of Freedom, you will see the difference between a libertarianism founded in natural law and one which consists of contracts all the way down. Hamburger is not a libertarian. To the contrary, arguing for constitutional government based on a originalist approach, which he believes with justification often better protection for liberty than the system that now prevails in America. But his view of law is similar to Rothbard's. Constitutional law is not based on bargains between individuals. The Constitution cannot be altered or excused by the consent of states or natural persons. Nowadays, it is not denied that the Constitution is a law, but it is commonly assumed that individuals, institutions, and states, by their consent, can relieve the federal government of its constitutional limits. The constitutional limits on government, however, are not merely contractual terms. That's on pages 153 to 54. In like fashion, and fixed cannot be given up in return for benefit. One reason consent has been so widely considered a constitutional solvent is that rights are often seen merely personal spheres of freedom and thus treadable commodities. For this point of view, free speech and other constitutional rights are personal goods, no more or less than used car or old rug, which individuals can bargain away as they please. But constitutional rights are not merely personal claims. More broadly, they are legal limits on government. That's on pages 155 to 156. And let's like to stop right there. Look what the edicts and basics rhetoric of the Biden administration is doing. Okay? Think about that. Oh, you got to be patriotic duty to take the shots and wear the mask because I said so, and because I am owned and sold by the New World Order. I've been doing this for the past almost 50 years. Can you respect me? All right, so I'll continue on here. We need to consider one more idea to have the background to understand the thesis of Hamburger's book. And this idea has to do with the second concept stressed by libertarians, coercion and its limits. From a libertarian perspective, as long as you do not use or threaten force against the life, liberty, and property of other people, you are not subject to other restrictions. You are free to persuade them through offers to do as you wish. Hamburger thinks that it is a mistake to apply this attitude to the government, and this leads to the book's main idea. Often the government induces people to do things by making them conditional offers. For example, researchers will be offered grant money provided that they follow guidelines that the government sets out. Conditional offer need not involve payments, as in cases of plea bargains where defendants in return for waiving a jury trial are offered a lighter sentence. Give you a good example, Homeland Security. Since they got enacted, look at all these surpluses and grants they want to give to the local police and state police, federal encroachment, briberies, blackmails. Hey, take care of us, we'll take care of you. We'll give you plenty of surplus military supplies because we don't need it anymore. Okay, centralization through bribery, my friends. You might think at first that setting aside whether government is legitimate at all, these offers are all right. After all, people are free to accept or reject them, since by hypothesis, the government won't use force to make them accept its offer according to a dominant through not altogether unchallenged position. This is correct. Only conditions that directly contradict the Constitution are ruled out. For example, the government could not offer a church money in return for not teaching them same-sex marriage is wrong, because this would violate the First Amendment, but otherwise the field is clear. We are now in position to understand Hamburger's main thesis. He thinks that the government is not a constitutionally free make conditional offers that extend its powers beyond the limits prescribed by the Constitution, even if these offers do not on their face violate its provisions, the government must accomplish its ends with the means provided by the Constitution. It cannot extend its powers through offers, all more so as owing to disparities to power, influence, and knowledge between government and private citizens. It is very difficult for people to refuse the offers. Of course, when you get everything centralized, they all want us to be peasants. Go, yes, master, I want a handout. Give me respect now. I have that right to get those benefits. Okay, that's just an example. Look what happened with the stimulus package, COVID package, okay? And we all know, we all been there, don't get me wrong, including myself, because of my industry at the time. However, these are more like people want to live off this. This is totally absurd, all right? By the use of such offers, the nature of the government has been altered from the strict limits set forward in the Constitution, and in some instances, the extension has drastic consequences. Rather than offer money or some other privilege in exchange for a condition, agencies sometimes threaten regulatory hassle until they get acquiescence. The government, in this way, often imposes the conditions in the way that are difficult to distinguish from extortion. Bad that it is, the extortion is even worse than when the government threatens regulatory hassle to secure consent to regulatory conditions. The resulting extortion is doubly regulatory, both in the pressure to submit and the resulting acquiescence to further regulation. That's page 221. Even as is not the worst of it, the book has saved for the worst for last. Not content to use conditions to control those from whom it secures consent, the government asks consenting state and private institutions to control others. Can we say corporatism, fascism? Yes. Benito Mussolini is climaxing in his grave, folks. The federal government employs conditions to turn the states and private institutions into agents for regulating Americans, often even for imposing unconstitutional restrictions. That's page 233. A case of this kind that especially troubles the author is that the Health and Human Services Department of the federal government requires universities that receive money for human subjects research to establish national review boards to approve all research in this area. All these broads have often acted to interfere with free speech and academic freedom. In one instance, a law professor who was a friend of the author could not publish an article because he had failed to secure the prior approval of his university's institutional review board, even though his research was not directly related to the ostensible mandate on the board. The board claimed the power to approve all research done at that university, and had he published the article in defiance of it, by his own estimate, his career would have come to an end. Hamburger warned in his earlier works of the dangers of administrative law, but conditional offers, in his view, an even graver threat to liberty. Hamburger deserves the thanks of all students of the Constitution for his intricately argued book of immense learning, written in excellent style and manifesting a passion for liberty. So I'm going to have to buy this book, folks, and hopefully I encourage all you guys to do the same. Read and share. This is what's so fantastic, because he has a lot of merit in this article. Government overreach, whether it's local, state, or federal. Yeah, they all think they're all powerful people. They claim to be entitlements, and many of them think they're smarter than everybody else because they have law degrees. Woo! How erotic is that, right? Well, this is why you got to have that attitude towards these peons, because our founding fathers, the people, even including Thomas Jefferson, said you never trust the government. The Declaration of Independence, self-explanatory. And don't listen to the other pundits tell you any different. You got some hired illiterates to make more money than you and I. But you know what? I just find it laughable. Doesn't matter what side of the paradigm they are, Democrat, Republican, Independent, it doesn't matter. You got your clowns in all factions. Claim to be geniuses, superior, we should all lick their boots. or kiss the floor they walk on. Come on. I'll tell you this. One of the great individuals I enjoy the work he's reading came from, hold on here, Lou Rockwell. As it reads here, when government becomes the enemy of rights, it can be tossed out. Rights are permanent, intrinsic features of men, all men. And say that in plurality, of women too, all right? Governments are expedient, governments are expedients that can come and go according to the people's wish. Rights cannot be altered or abolished. Governments can. Who's going to argue with that? Not The View. It's funny. There's still these clowns. You got some people that watch that garbage. And I know people make complaints on these alternative media news sites. I'm like, come on. Shut it off. Don't complain. Who cares? They're not politically inclined. They're not liberty-minded. They're a bunch of hurricane-formers. Moo! Sheeples on parade. So that's why, folks, we got to always look at things a lot broader than what it is. Because if you don't, then they can take away your rights, but you have to implement it. Like I said before, you are born with natural rights, not owned by the state. You can tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine, laugh at them, mock them, ridicule them, do it with finesse and articulation. They hate that more. Trust me, I've done it. I offended a bunch of these knuckleheads, and you know what? It's just part of the battle. Our obligations. Never trust the government. Always look at contracts thoroughly. If there are zipper clauses and they're trying to dictate, it's going to the unions. File unfair labor practices against the employer. Public or private sectors. Don't be intimidated if your officers don't want to like it. You go to the next meeting, give them an attitude adjustment and pay your fine. If they call the police, they're considered wusses. If they throw you in jail, tell them, thank you for being anti-union. All right? Let that sink in. Plain and simple. So, what's your intake on this? And of course, always observe responsibly. That will be it. I thank everyone for listening, but feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have questions, comments, or potential interesting to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence with the decorum. But plus, I will put the footnote of this article on my speaker page on this episode 1411. If you want to contact me via email, go to LokiLuck03@protonmail.com. If you want to do a donation, you go to paypal.me or cash.app/LokiLuck3. I'm trying to get a few other sites you can send your donation, cryptocurrency and all that. That'll be great. I'm doing that ASAP, okay? So if you want to do that, let me know. I'm on basedon2.com. If you want to give me a thumbs up, the donation can be good right there. All right, basedon.com. So, what else is going to say? That's all. Once again, thank you for your time. Please always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Before I go, support Mises Institute, membership, donations, share the information. All right? One more time. Once again, thank you for your time. Please always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Till next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.